Hello, everybody.
Excuse me.
We are live. I am Judah, and this is my dad, David McNeil. And Dad, you brought up you had been talking to somebody about confidence, and it'd be a good thing to talk about. And I think that is a good thing to talk about this morning. But I don't think I think it's something that needs to be explored. What is confidence?
What is confidence? Confidence.
The word seems to come from con, with, and fidence, fidelity, faith, yeah, fide, and so with faith, when walking in faith.
Yeah, now, most people will think of confidence. So and so has confidence. Mm-hmm. They have faith in themselves. They have faith in themselves generally, but there may be other. That faith may be turned outward toward God, toward other people. I was recently with Judah's cousin, my nephew, mm-hmm. Christian, and his wife, Julia, and their 3 kids, and my brother, Stephen, and his wife, Linda, and my other nephew, Evan, mm-hmm. in Iowa. Yeah. We were in Iowa for Thanksgiving. Place I've only been one other time to stay. Mm-hmm. I've been through Iowa many times, but we were in Iowa, got snowed on, and so we had lots of time to sit around the house and talk. And I was mm-hmm. talking to Christian about confidence. Christian is a man in his late 30s who is a boss. Mm. He is a construction boss, and all of the Mexicans that work there, they call him El Jefe, mm-hmm. The boss, the chief. And I was talking to him about confidence, what that is and how he got it. And I was thinking perhaps confidence was something that he got from his parents telling him, you're a good guy. You've got a lot going for you. Maybe that, confidence was from my brother Stephen and Linda, his wife, telling Christian, you're good. You're skillful. You're, and building him up. But it turns out he did a lot for himself that he knew that his parents. He spoke up for himself, got on soccer teams, mm-hmm. just going up and speaking for himself, something brash.
Well,
brash.
But there's something, though, that comes, confidence. Sure, he spoke up for himself. However, there is, we study in counseling, being attachment theory is being taken care of is something. There's something to having confidence that comes from being taken care of. We were looking up in the Bible, where does confidence come in? It comes from trust. If you're not taken care of, and I'm not talking about speaking up for us, but having our needs met, our felt needs, or our hunger, shelter, and basic needs met, is important to developing confidence. I think the people that don't have confidence have learned somewhere along the line that they can't trust life.
Well, that's a good point. I think you take, to go straight to the great example of confidence mm-hmm. in the Bible would be, the Old Testament would be King David, mm-hmm. Going against Goliath. And it's not sure that at first he's talking about trusted God. He says, oh, I know I can do this, go against Goliath, this great giant soldier mm-hmm. That came out and challenged everybody. Oh, I can go against him. I will go against him. That he had a reason to go against him because he was blaspheming mm-hmm. the God of Israel. But he says, I know I can do it because, why? Because I killed a lion and a bear when they were coming against my sheep.
Yeah.
He was a shepherd. So at first he talks about his own skill, his own ability. But when he goes against, and he talks to Goliath and he stands up there in front of him, he says, I come against you in the name of the God of Israel. He invokes God, and you can see that he knows his own skill, mm-hmm. but he knows that what really makes him strong is why he is doing it,
Mhm.
and that God is with him. So that
Yeah.
this kind of confluence, there is a confluence
Yeah.
of trust in himself
Mhm.
and trust in God. Right?
Well, yeah, but there are people that have confidence that don't believe in God.
Believe in God, that's right.
And I remember once one of my favorite mentors, he's mentor slash counselor slash guy I worked with. He said he wasn't a Christian, and he said this. He remembered this phrase that helped him. He said, "The universe rewards the journeyman." He would say that the universe rewards the journeyman, and he said he knew that I was a Christian. He said it could be interpreted that God rewards the journeyman. God.
What do you think? What do you mean a journeyman?
So yeah, so
A
a
skilled
journeyman.
worker?
No, well, a journeyman, like the journey, it takes a path, and so being on the right path, and so getting on the path, going out, the person with initiative, the person with
Okay, missionary.
yeah, the
More
with
like a
mission,
missionary.
with a mission.
I wouldn't say
Yeah.
that God never says God rewards the wayfaring man, because in fact, in Revelation it says the wayfaring man never comes by, never goes over the New Jerusalem. The wanderer.
No,
It
no,
has
not
to be
wanderer.
no, it
Yeah,
has to be
journeyman.
somebody.
A journey
Yeah.
has a destination.
So it's more like an apostle or a missionary or something like that.
Well, and I think what it comes back to again is faith. Having faith,
Amen.
believing in
Yes.
in something beyond,
Yeah.
like over the horizon.
Hey,
The
yeah. Well, what gives anybody real motivation for doing something except the idea that their cause is just, right?
Mhm,
My
mhm.
cause is just, and even if I die in it, my cause will. Even people that don't believe in God, communists and people, they would say, even if I die, that my cause is just.
Yeah.
They believe that somehow history is moving in that direction. Of
Mhm.
course, as Christians, we believe God is moving in that direction.
Yeah.
We want to be with Him,
Well,
and the power that we have is because we're moving with God.
well, that was something when we're talking about confidence. Shalom is an idea that comes up for me because it's shalom is a word in the Bible, and as Christians we hear about it used.
Yeah.
And often it's like a type of peace, but as a kid I learned early that it means to be in sync with God's will.
Yeah.
And there is, I think, when somebody is in shalom, they are confident. There is something about shalom and confidence.
Yes.
That it's not so much trust in themselves, but trust that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, and isn't it? I mean, that trust in something outside yourself. That's what we need to instill in people when we're talking the gospel, when we're preaching the gospel, when we're trying to bring the gospel to somebody. You look up confidence online, and the first thing you get is a bunch of little sermons on self-esteem, how to see yourself in the best light, how to develop others' opinions of you in the best light, how to get people to think about you. And really, some of them are very good. I saw one of them. I said, "Don't." It says, "Don't walk like this," with your head down. And said, walk like this with your shoulders swaying. You look confident. People, yeah. I said, it's true. And you want people, men especially, want people to trust in them and think they know what's going on. Men don't want to feel like, I want to put this person aside.
Yeah.
Generally, some people want to be in the shadows, but most men want to be thought of as they know what they're doing and they're confident.
Yeah, and a lot of self-help has to do with faking it to make it. Fake it to make it, and I think there is something to that because faith isn't generally something that we can just gin up. You talk about motivation. No, I think faith comes from action, from will. We talk about the will,
experience.
Well, experience.
You believe in something that's worked out, or to someone someone that has worked out.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, but
No.
faith is things unseen, right? It's future.
True enough.
So it is a decision, and we've talked a little bit about how will has an important part to play in confidence. Our will, willing something, and then the Bible talks about will, particularly when it's good, is when it says God's will. God's will be done. And what does that mean? God's will, because I believe that confidence in shalom, likewise, is the overlap of God's will and our will, right?
Yes, that's what we want. Peace with God working with him. Oh gosh, I just missed something. We were talking about God's will. The Bible indicates that God's will is some people do not do God's will. Jesus said they came to get him, his family came to get him because they thought he was crazy. They was over the edge. All these people coming to him and he was healing them and so on. And he said, well, they said, your mom and your brothers are outside looking for you. He said, he looked at the crowd that was with him. He said, my mom and my brothers and my sisters, those are those that want to do the will of God. These that want to do the will of God. So he meant that there are some people who don't do the will of God. Some people who don't do the will of God. Now, you can say that God is sovereign and everything he does, his will is not frustrated. Yes, in the end. But we know, we pray, thy will be done. And this is Dave's interpretation. That means in the end, everything you pray in the Lord's Prayer is going to happen. His name is going to be honored. His will is going to be done. In the end. But in the interim, some people are going to do God's will, like Jesus, and hopefully us. And some people are not going to do God's will, and they are going to be condemned. You didn't do my will. My will was for you to help these weak people, and you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Some people don't do God's will. But in the end, every knee will bow.
Yeah.
Every tongue will confess in the end. But in this interim time, God has a desire for people. It's God's will, God's desire that every man be saved. But every man's not going to be saved if people don't want to hear about God. I see people on the internet all the time that don't want to know about God. They don't want to do God's will. Some people do, some people don't.
And this, going back to the word will is sort of has a slippery definition where it used to be a past tense. I want to go, I will.
I will that.
I will it. Yeah. Whereas
now it means to make a decision.
The future, I will go.
I will this.
I will go versus I will go.
What is my will? So for example, what is your will? Sign your will. This is my will and testament. This is what I have decided for my family to receive after your will. And there's a little bit of it's a little bit of even in that of desire that is even the lawyers can get around your will.
It's true. It's a slippery word. I was looking it up. It's a Germanic word. It comes from
villain.
Will. Yeah, will.
Will.
Viljanen. Proto-Germanic Viljanen. Well, will, to want, to choose, to wish, to be inclined towards. It has both volition.
It's still.
And a voluntary action involved. So there's something, and I think it's in that whatever it is, whatever will is, I think in between the future and past of will is confidence, is knowing that the future will favor you.
Yes.
And so the confidence of a step into that
based
on the past decision.
Yes. Come back to David. He knew what God's will was. He knew that God's will was that the Gentiles would recognize God, that they would not blaspheme him, and that if they touched Israel, that they would be judged in the end. David knew that. And he knew that his own gifts. He knew his own gifts. In 1 Corinthians, if you haven't read 1 Corinthians, you need to read 1 Corinthians, and it talks about the gifts that God gives each person. They talk about the gifts. They talk about ministry, faith, miracles, prayer, giving, and I always put at the end, ... and so on. God gives all kinds of gifts. These are the gifts that are most easily understood. You know? And those gifts, God gives every Christian a gift. And if you know your gift, it motivates you to do what God has given you, the task. Hey, I have a gift, a small gift of teaching. So when I teach, guys study up and I get ready and I teach. But I teach with confidence, like not saying, "Oh, I've never done this before. I've never stood in front of a class." I stand confident, right? But I also know what God has given me, so I work with God, right? I'm working with God.
Yeah. And going back to what Christian said, there is an aspect of it that is risk, right? Taking a step into what we have not seen,
True enough.
and God rewarding. You know, as my friend, I think what my friend was saying when he said the universe rewards the journeyman is when we take, you know, it makes me think of Indiana Jones. Remember he steps out onto the path that you can't see, you know, one step of faith. Oh, well, journeyman, you know,
okay,
I think of someone like Indiana Jones, who's out there trying, he has a goal to find.
Yes.
You know, okay. So anyway,
lots of risk there.
But
adventurers.
Adventure. Yeah. I think adventure has something to do with
Magellan. Magellan and his man, Juan Cano, who actually went around the world with him. Magellan got killed in the Philippines, unfortunately. But it was Magellan that toughed his way, found the way to get around South America and to get out into the Pacific Ocean where they almost died. They got out into a huge ocean and no place to get water or food. But I think about, you know, this idea, I'm going around the world. I'm going to go, and this is my goals. And my question to you is, you think about David launching that. By the way, if you don't know, Judah is an excellent. He has an eye for the slingshot. You know, he can shoot. He can shoot the cigarette out of a man's mouth at 50 yards. This guy is great. When David he ran toward Goliath and he went. When he did that, did he know in his heart it was going to hit? Did he know, or did he have a little bit of doubt? Or
no, that is the thing.
What was in his heart?
I think that's the thing, you know, that brought me to the idea of will. When you mentioned me and slingshotting, I didn't ever have a feeling like this is a skill that I own and I can do this. And it was more of will. I just willed it to go.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of, to me, and you might sort of identify or think about, you've been in a situation like this when you're aiming.
Yeah.
There's a science, but there's mostly an art, right? You see, and I was thinking about pool. When we're playing pool, the last thing you want to look at is if you just concentrate only on where the ball is going to, you want to, kind of make everything sort of line up.
Yeah, I remember the first deer I shot, and I was looking at that deer and I was thinking, I'm going to kill this deer.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to shoot at it.
Right.
No, I'm going to, you have to be deliberate. And I was deliberate. I'm going to kill this deer.
Yeah.
And sorry for you vegetarians. It was not easy, but it had to be deliberate. Because if I hadn't been deliberate, the deer would have suffered. But when I shot the deer,
Mm-hmm.
he died within almost instantaneously. I got it right, and I just held it right on his heart. I said, "I'm going to kill this deer," and that was a part of it.
And see, I think that there's something in that. I think there's something in that we're cultivating in these discussions, that has to do with the Spirit and the work of the Spirit, because the Spirit is what you talk about motivation. And I think it is sort of an American idea that everything comes back to motivation and self, and this sort of self-confidence.
Yeah.
Whereas confidence is, and that's why I brought up the idea of will. And I love that you brought up the idea of aiming. It's in sports as well, where you don't really know the particulars. You're not thinking of every last thing, but just letting your body do it. And I think that's the Holy Spirit, and Spirit in general is when you just let the Spirit take over, and in sports, there's a lot of that chemistry you might have. Just let something other than you're not the particulars.
But you're thinking about the goal.
Right.
Willie Mosconi, when I was younger, I studied a little bit about shooting pool. I'm a pretty good pool shot.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't practiced in a long time. I don't shoot pool. I don't go to the pool hall to shoot pool. I wish I could. I enjoy shooting pool. But he said, the last thing you think of is, I'm going to make this shot. See, I'm going to make this shot. You stand over it, you light it up, you just see how the ball will carry them off. But the last thing you think is, I'm going to make the shot.
So not the last thing I think about is the thing you think about last.
Yes.
Yeah. But you must think about that thing.
You must think, I'm going to make a shot. I'm going to kill this deer. I'm going to make the basket. I'm going to make the basket. You're not thinking, I'm going to get off of this leg.
Right.
I'm going to get out of this guy. I'm going to get off of this guy. No, I'm going to make the basket. It's the basket. The goal, killing Goliath. He says, that last thing he's thinking is, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
And he just gives it to God because God has given him this mission. So the mission, the goal, that's what gives us, and it helps us to integrate with God's will, right? The goal with Jesus. Now, Jesus said, I don't do anything unless I see it's the will. I see, what is God doing? But Jesus would say, he's going to heal this guy. So he says, be healed. Now, sometimes he saw he's going to forgive this guy. He's going to cleanse him, be forgiven. And he would say, but it wasn't just what was in his heart. What is God going to do? He's going to make the seas quiet. But he saw what is God doing? What is the goal, right? Yes. What is the goal? And I think we put our thoughts on that more than how good am I? Am I good at this? Will this help me? Can I do this? I mean, that's
why I balked a little bit when you talk about self-confidence. When somebody has confidence in themselves, typically when you see somebody that is confident, real confidence, I feel, I'll say, I don't know about others, but I feel a certain trust in something other than themselves. Trust in that things are going to be okay, whether they know about God or not. They trust in God.
Yeah. They see projects. They see the project. They see that.
And just like you said, aiming. They have a goal and they trust that it can be done. Now, it may mean that they have the skills, a confluence of things, but they're not thinking about the particulars. No. They're just trusting.
No, I think that's it. No, I think we should see in terms of timing. I think when you take on jobs, you can take on jobs because you know your gifts. Somebody says, somebody's got to chair this meeting. Somebody says that, I go, I'll do it because I know Robert's Rules of Order, and I don't mind saying, okay, we're going to discuss this question. Here it is. Read it. Okay, who has an opinion on this? Raise your hand. I know how to keep it orderly, but somebody says we got to repair this door. Somebody's got. It's good. I would not be the first one to say that.
Mm-hmm.
You or Paul or Christian would say, let's hang this door right. I'd say, I'll help you, but I wouldn't be the first one to volunteer for, because I know my gifts, right? So knowing your gifts helps you to volunteer and know where you stand. And also, I remember my father, my dear sainted father. After I got out of the Army, I went in the infantry, which means busting brush in the woods and shooting at people. And I realized that was not what I was called to do. And I should have been in the intelligence or something like that, and learning another language and so on, and being a spy maybe. So, but my dad said later, if you'd asked me, if I'd have been in charge, I would have said, no, you do something else. He would have told me to do something else, but he never
told you to do something else.
Because my dad was very, very, both my parents were very free with me. If I thought I should have climbed Mount Everest, they would have said, well, you think so? If I said yes, I said, okay, here's a backpack, here's some sandwiches.
And I think there is, and I was telling you, and we need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
But there is that aspect of, we were talking about, child rearing and how important it is to make cut that fine line distinction between everything is going to be okay because of you or because of, control, rather than everything is going to be okay because of God, because of goodness, which is God.
Right. And you need to shape kids so that inside that box are God's gifts. Outside the box, as much as possible, are desires, the wants of the body, and so on. We all have to. You start with the kids, but every adult, I'm doing it, Judah's doing it. You keep finding that box that this is God's will, and here outside of the box is everything I'd like to have. So, is that part of what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think the people that are most, and this is just a thought that came to me, is I think the people that are most insecure, have the least amount of confidence, have been somehow taught that things are not going to be okay and that they need to control. They must control everything. And so if they have any desires, it's overwhelming, I can't control everything. There's barely anything I can control. Yeah,
that's what.
Why wouldn't you be fretful?
And they're not peaceful, right?
Right.
And I was just talking about, you find out, when we're with other people in the family, we talk about their lives and so on, and you see problems. They see problems in mine, and so you see problems in other people's lives. Sometimes you're tempted to say, how can I fix this? What do I tell them to do? And if you're mature, as I hope I'm getting to be, you think, I can't fix it. God can fix it. So what's the first thing I do? Pray for them and try to find out from God what is happening. His will. How can I fit in that? His will. God can change it. I can't change things, That's
and what
knowing
can we
God's
do?
will.
I think, and this goes back to what we were saying, Uncle Stephen, your dad, and you. What have you done that have really helped some of us kids be confident, and you be confident? Is that love? Like no matter what, if you make a mistake, you'll still be loved, and I think that is important for confidence. So it allows us to adventure, because if we make a mistake, we won't fail and be devastated. We come back to that love of our parents.
Amen. By the way, I've been meaning to talk to you about no. Everything you've ever done has pleased me. No, I can't say that either. I love this guy.
Not get out of control.
But that's what we want to do is we want to help other people be encouraged. I think move on in the will of God.
We want to create. Well, we want to allow for a context, environment of support,
But
we want to continually. I want to be a person that points people back to Jesus' will.
Seek God's will. Let's seek God's will.
We are journeymen, and there is a universe, but we believe we know the King of the universe, and that is the key.
Amen. Amen.
And so I hope some of that helps with your journey. I think it's good for me to talk to Dad and you guys about this stuff and work it out with words. So we'll be back next week. Sorry we weren't here last week. Thanksgiving and all.
We were eating at the time.
But we'll be back next week to work more stuff out with words.
Peace.